Guys, quick, you only have 8 seconds to drop a like and subscribe to reveal how the Polar Peak monster and robot will return for the end event in Season X. Do you want to be gifted a free skin from the item shop?
Yes.
Well, simply make sure you subscribe to the channel with the post notification bell turned on and comment your Epic Game ID down below, letting me know also what you'd like to receive in terms of a gift off me. We're also getting so close to 800,000 total subscribers, so everybody watching the video right now, if you're not subscribed, hit the big red button and you potentially also could be that 800,000 subscriber. Want me to send even bigger and better things to more of you guys whilst also supporting me? Well, simply make sure to use code FriendlyMachine in the item shop. Let me know also in the comment section if you're rocking the code and your Epic Games ID, that way I can hook some of you guys up with some V-Bucks. It's safe to say Season X by now has hit us with tons of unexpected surprises. I mean, the return of Kevin the Cube after exploding, the meteor even before it crashed through time returning, and the rocket being built from Season 4 at a new lair, the Visitor's Lair at Dusty Depot. Ultimately, what is this leading to, and what further developments are going to be made before the live event, despite the mechs literally exploding as soon as they hit the ground? Well, what I'm going to be telling you guys in today's video about how Season X is going to end will ultimately shock you, entailing the return of the Polar Peak monster and the giant mech robot to fight one more time. Not only are we going to be mentioning all the developments until the live event in this video, but we actually have a leaked first look at some of the things to do with the live event and ultimately how it's going to play out. So simply make sure you're sticking around to watch the full video today, because I guarantee you guys, you won't want to miss anything contained in this video. With that said, the first thing to go over, in case you guys aren't aware of what the Season X live event is going to be called, we're going to be soon seeing implemented, when this actually happens literally hours before it does, an LTM called the End that data miners managed to pull from the files. Here is a concept on screen that I've made of this LTM and how it will look in game, like we saw for the Unvaulting event and also the final showdown with the Visitor launching the rocket. With us already knowing that the rocket is going to be inevitably launched by the hands of the Visitor or the Scientist, the new Visitor's kind skin that we've seen unlockable only this season, what else do we know about what's going to be happening during the live event? Well, as of recently, data miners have also been able to leak the description of this, the End LTM, and it states the following: join the fight to restore our timeline before it's too late. This ultimately tells us a lot about the rocket's purpose and its involvement in the live event, considering, well, previously we saw the mechs ripped apart and stripped for parts itself to then construct the rift beacon. So with this context applied, is this the same for the rocket and how the Visitor is obtaining parts? And obviously, now that we've seen the mechs are exploding as soon as they hit the ground, what's going on? Well, ultimately they are infected with some form of virus that's shown on the computer screens inside the Visitor's warehouse. Is the Visitor trying to extract this virus upon impact with something that the mechs contain and apply it to the rocket, ultimately entailing it to crash into something and explode? This would definitely make sense, ultimately because this would then be considered a giant weapon in this fight to restore our Fortnite timeline. This alone in itself wouldn't seem like a battle, more so just a destination for the rocket to reach. So with that said, what else is going to be going on? Well, if we look in the files, obviously toward Kevin the Cube and its unlikely return that it did make anyways after exploding, we can tell that it's going to explode again, considering all of the butterfly event files and everything to do with the Kevin the Cube island form and its purpose have been added back. Interestingly enough, all the files you can see on screen were added back before the Cube Island form made its initial return through the Rift Beacon at Fatal Fields. And with that said, obviously, that means Fortnite or Epic Games have been planning ahead leading up to this live event. So taking a look at these files on screen again, what else was entirely pulled back? Literally all of the files from said event. The Catus and Doggers event being the final showdown, with Catus codename for the Polar Peak monster and Doggers the codename for the robot that disappeared at the end. Epic Games never do anything for no reason, and considering they added all event files back, it not only tells us that some things are going to be going down to do with the final showdown, but both participants will be making a return, even despite how unlikely that may be for the Polar Peak monster, considering it's already met its demise. But we know that this also has already happened, considering, well, Kevin the Cube's floating island form returned after it also met its demise and literally exploded, but from an ulterior dimension, which also could be the case for how the Polar Peak monster actually returns. Believe it or not, there is more indicating the importance of the Polar Peak monster making this resurrection through time, or ultimately just a resurrection that was implemented for a map change at the start of Season X. As many of you guys may or may not know, the map changes implemented at the start of every season right in front of our eyes ultimately have underlying ties to how the storyline plans out. For example, this kind of singularity statue at Neo Tilted in Season 9 that was literally the weapon that defeated the Polar Peak monster being a hidden sword. So what has happened at the start of Season X ultimately that's been involved throughout the storyline thus far in terms of a map change? Well, the visitor's capsule inside the meteor ultimately explaining how the scientist has come to our Battle Royale realm. But what else was implemented at the start of Season X that literally didn't need to be? This kind of pink area surrounding the remains of the Polar Peak monster after it was stabbed through the head. This is what it looked like in the final days of Season 9, so why would Epic for no reason implement this kind of pink patterned area if it had no importance in the storyline going forward? With us expecting a brand new map for Season 11 based off a ton of leaks, specifically 11 new POIs or named locations found in the files, it would be a great time to have this reappear back through time and actually cause destruction that it wasn't allowed to during Season 9 in the final showdown, considering the World Cup was a concurrent event and would have affected players and how the games actually played out drastically. With us not knowing where the robot went ultimately serving its purpose, what if upon the return of the Polar Peak monster it detects a threat to the Battle Royale island and returns again for this fight? A fight described in the files to restore our Fortnite timeline. With the scale of this event speaking for itself in the name of the event itself, the End, we ultimately don't know what's going to be going on and how much destruction is going to be caused, but we do know the vicinity of which this is going to be going down in, and here it is described on screen by a data miner called HypeX, literally between Loot Lake and the Dusty Depot warehouses in this kind of middle map vicinity. Make sure to make a note of that when this LTM is implemented for us to actually witness the live event then in game, but ultimately another question being, when will this LTM be implemented and what date will the event be going down on? Considering the fact we haven't seen a countdown timer obviously hyping up or letting players know that something will be happening, a live event when the countdown timer ends in a particular vicinity or all around the map, I highly doubt it will be this Saturday the 28th of September. The reason I say a Saturday only is because, well, all prior live events have only ever occurred on a Saturday, so I doubt they'd switch that around now. So with that said, considering there is only one other Saturday in mention, October 5th, contained within Season X until its end that's been extended, as we know from the files, until October 10th, it's definitely going to be occurring on Saturday the 5th of October 2019. The time isn't determined exactly yet, but Fortnite will be updating their Twitter to let everybody know exactly, and obviously closer to the time, we'll be implementing a countdown timer ticking away until the event itself occurs, just like we saw last season in the final showdown. Upon this countdown timer reaching 0 itself, we ultimately don't know what to expect, other than the fact it's going to be huge. With that said, Sheena BR actually dug into the files and found that we won't be on the island the entire time to actually witness the event. He stated this in tweet form: the event will again have a fixed zone. This time the zone will be between Dusty and Loot Lake, as we previously concluded from the HypeX tweet. At some point of the event, all players will be teleported to the point shown on the screenshot, so we won't be on the island for the whole event. The sole fact that this will be happening also confirms that mass destruction, bigger than we've ever seen before, will be taking place. Many of you may be wondering how we actually get here to this view anyways of the island. Well, it's determined from Asriel, another data miner, that all players will be sucked into the 0 point location at Loot Lake during this live event. So maybe this actually teleports us or actually transports us to this particular kind of in the sky position outside the island, but I guess we're yet to know. Also, another interesting piece of information from Lucas7 Yoshi, yet another data miner, actually confirms that this event is going to be completely huge, as Epic Games ultimately don't want us to miss it and are allowing us to join in as it's occurring, or just generally late in case one's game crashes, just like what happened for the majority of players during the Unvaulting event. Here is the coding on screen right now: delay sequence 30 seconds, immunity lead up time 2 minutes before the event you are invincible, level unload timer, very late join, implying that we can obviously join before, the event actually happens into a game that's already started, and finally actual point of no return. to 55 seconds. The reason this tells us that this event is going to be the biggest one we've ever seen is because, well, Epic Games have never gone to such lengths to actually ensure that we are definitely in a game witnessing what's about to happen or unfolding that reflects in terms of the map changes and the storyline as a whole. Another point that backs up the huge scale of this event is implying that because of it unfolding, we will be receiving a brand new map in Season 11, and typically we know the live event in the prior season is always relevant to the next season, considering, well, as you can see on screen, we have the robot obviously holding the Nexus Orb, which then was shown to explode and create what we're seeing a time twist of prior dimensions now in Season X. This most likely means we're going to be introduced to our new map in the next season trailer for something that happens obviously building up from after the live event until the end of the season. Either way, the information basically confirming this is on screen right now, and it's basically the final loading screen we can unlock for week 10 of this season. Not only does it basically show the players waving goodbye to the battle bus as if it's taking another route to another island, but the title of the loading screen is called Last Stop, also implying, because of this title, that this was the last stop we'd ever be making on our current Battle Royale island, and this seemingly shown redirection of the battle bus is actually transferring us to said new island. Anyways, those are all the updates I have in terms of what's upcoming in the live event for Season X, so I hope you all enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you're leaving a like on it down below in case you also want to keep referring back to it, as the liked playlist is a very easy to access point and memorable to which you can save videos to. Also, make sure you're subscribing to the channel with the post notification bell turned on if you haven't already, to be one of the first people to soak in the newest pieces of information ultimately pertaining to the end of this season and most importantly its live event. Hopefully I can recognise you guys becoming actives in the comment section of my future videos to come, and I'm out. Have an amazing rest of your day or night wherever you are whenever you're watching. Have a good one, take it easy, and as always, peace.